Hello, this is Martha Hines with Living the One Light, and today I am with Lynn Kirkham and Sarah Cruse, two women who have changed my life over the last several months in very deep and profound ways. I first met Lynn in June of last year at a retreat, and she specializes in helping people to remember and reclaim their voices. And on that retreat, in a very short amount of time, Lynn was able to radically shift my relationship to my voice and my relationship to my story and who I am. And she also developed a core repatterning technique, which underlies her work with helping people to bring through their voices. And Sarah Cruse, who's here, is her first certified student of that technique. And I had the gift from Lynn of being able to work with Sarah this past fall. And Sarah also totally transformed my life on an even deeper level, because I spent, I think it was 4 or 5 sessions with Sarah, 5 sessions. And I'm a therapist. I'm really good at helping people in these kinds of ways. So I have very high standards. And Sarah not only met my standards, she went so far beyond them on an emotional level and then on a spiritual level too. And I have incredibly high standards on a spiritual level also. I don't trust people easily with my heart, with my spirit, with my soul, with my connection to myself. And Sarah immediately helped me drop into the deepest part of my most vulnerable self with these techniques that she was learning from Lynn, and then also just because of who Sarah is. And so we wanted to come together today because not only I want to highlight this work that Lynn and Sarah are doing, but also because what they do is uncannily similar to what comes through me when I channel my books and the work that I'm putting into the world. So it feels like the spirit world wants us to click together for this hour, however long this interview will be, and share what is coming through you guys, what is coming through me, and what is this about voice, and what is this about ourselves coming to this planet and being free to be who we really are and to let through that voice that needs to come through each of us. So, well,
I love that. Thank you, Martha, for having Sarah and I with you today. It's really an honor. And, you know, we believe that every single person on this planet is born with a seed of pure potential, and that we were all born to express that potential. And so many of us, because of how we were raised or the experiences that we've had throughout our lives, you know, we start out having a voice. Like, you know, when we're babies, like we cry, we need something, we cry, and it's like, I need this, listen to me. And then we get what we need, usually, hopefully. But then over time, we're told no, and we're told you're wrong, and oh, you didn't do that right. And depending on how severe those moments were, they would get trapped in our nervous system. And then, you know, our nervous system's like, oh gosh, it's not safe for you to ask for what you need. It's not safe for you to use your voice. It's not safe for you to be you, because you being you gets you in trouble. You being you is not good enough. And so we tend to put, I don't know, we cover ourselves up. We cover our true light up. We cover our authentic nature and our voice up. And we try to just do what we know is safe, say what we know is safe, be in company where we're safe so that we're not judged and hurt again and again and again. And so the work that we do is to help to identify all those places where we've been hurt, where someone has been hurt, and where they've where it makes them shrink. And then, and in just minutes, really just let that pain or the trauma go. So it's super amazing to be here. And let me just say that once the pain and the trauma is gone, then people can find their true voice. They can find their fullest expression of themselves, and they're not so worried about what other people think.
Right. And I was so amazed with working with Sarah, how it truly did feel like it got me down to the essence of who I am and the essence of the pain that I wasn't even consciously aware of being my underlying main issue going on at that moment. And I've done a lot of therapy. And again, I am a therapist. So, and I know a lot of techniques, and I'm also an energy healer. I mean, I'm not new to this kind of thing. And it got me down to the most pure, most vulnerable place I think I've probably ever gotten in any technique I've ever engaged in. So yeah, I would love to hear from Sarah, and I would also love to hear, Lynn, the origins of this technique, because it came through you, right?
Boy, I've been working with people for over 30 years, and trying to let go of trauma and painful events of the past, because I knew that those painful events of the past were running our subconscious, like my subconscious, everyone's subconscious mind. And they say that 80 to 90% of our behavior is subconscious. It's not conscious. That's why, people will want to get up in front of a group and speak. And it's like, they know what to do. They've read the books, they've watched the videos, they know what to do. They know to make good eye contact. They know to keep their body strong. They know to stay engaged and come from their heart. But oh my goodness, they get up there, they get triggered, and then all of a sudden all the blood rushes to their head and all the 500 thoughts happen at the same time, and they can't get the words out. And that's a subconscious reaction to being triggered. And so the work that we do is really, really deep, so that it works on the subconscious as well as the conscious, so that, and then once those triggers or traumas are released, then people are able to actually find their voice and be more deliberate about how they live their lives. And yeah, it came through me, after working, for 30 years with people. And I realized that all the modalities that I'd learned, and I was always on this quest. It's like, okay, maybe this modality is going to do it. Maybe this one. And everything was great for, a day or a couple of weeks or a month. But then after that couple of weeks or a month, boom, the triggers would be reignited again. And so they just never, ever got to the core, got to the root cause of why people are, why people hang on to the trauma, or they didn't get to the root cause and eliminate it, is really what I'm trying to say. And so my prayer was, please, why can't we just pull the whole onion out? Instead of peeling the proverbial layers of the onion for the next 30 or 40 or 50 years. I mean, who has that time? If we were born with that seed of pure potential, and we're meant to express, we're meant to do our unique work in the world, whatever that is, then we don't have time to waste, peeling a layer here and a layer there. So my prayer was, please, let's give me a way to peel the whole onion, or to pull out the whole onion, the root cause. And there was a day when I was working with someone, and I had worked with hundreds of people. I was working with someone, and I was just told to go inside the body and find out where they've stored it in their body, because it's not just in their mind. As much as we think that it's in our mind, yes, there's parts of it that are in our mind, and we've cogitated over it so many times that there's a part of it that's in our mind, but the root is actually in our nervous system. It's in our body. And so we had to find out where that was, and they're able to find it by feeling pressure. They think of an event that was painful, and they were able to feel pressure in their body. And so what we did is I was told to just really go into the pain body. So that is the pain body of that particular event. And, for those of you who have read Eckhart Tolle's books, for example, he talks a lot about the pain body. And if we can just sit with the pain body long enough, then whatever that is will dissolve. But our mind can't sit with the pain body long enough. I tried after I read The Power of Now years and years ago. And I knew that he had the way to do it. Like, you had to go there, but I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay there because our conscious mind is like, oh gosh, I don't want to stay in the pain. I want to go distract myself. Let me get something to eat or something to drink or take a walk or breathe or anything, but don't make me sit there. And so anyway, through this, when I was working with my clients, we found that pain and we gave it voice. They gave it voice, authentic voice that they'd never been able to say in that moment when it happened. And we also take them into a higher plane of consciousness before we even start. So I was guided to take them into a higher state of consciousness. We take them to the seventh plane, which is something that was born out of the work of theta healing. And so we take them into a meditation on the seventh plane, which is a beautiful space. And, it's where the divine is. And it's where they have so many resources at their disposal and benevolent beings around them that can help to let these things go. And then they go into their body, give it voice. And then sometimes within just, 10 or 15 minutes, it's gone. Like something that's a negative 10 charge on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being neutral, it'll be gone in 10 or 15 minutes. And it's so exciting and so profoundly liberating. Yeah. And Sarah, when I met Sarah, I have to say, I knew from the moment she said hello that we were meant to work together, and that she was meant to be part of my team, just because of the amazing heart and soul and presence that she has. And we started by having her go through the process. And once she went through the process, she joined my certification program, and she has just been on fire and creating so many miracles. And Martha, I'm so happy that she was able to really help you reach that deepest level of vulnerability and truth. Mm-hmm. and enable you to, and create the space for you to release it. It's not that Sarah and I are doing anything to you. You're doing all the work. We're just creating a space for you to tap in and actually do it yourself. Because then, when you do it yourself, then you can really release it. But if somebody does it for you, it's just, you can't release the whole thing. So Sarah, thank you for being part of my team. Thank you for being so brilliant and creating so many miracles.
Well, and I just want to add also that not only in my experience of working with Sarah and your technique, Lynn, the effect on me, the lasting effect on me has been two major things. And mostly on a personal level. I mean, certainly there is this effect of freeing people up to have their voice come through on a professional level. But for me, what happened was that I had a session with Sarah, and we went into this deepest, most vulnerable part of myself. And I accessed this part of myself again that I didn't even realize was a thing for me. It happened to be, what I remembered was leaving Bangladesh as a 4-year-old. That was the first home I knew, was in Bangladesh as a small child. And I suddenly realized how traumatic it was to have left. my only home, and my ayahs, my nannies, you know, who had basically raised me. So I had to say goodbye to my mothers, you know, I mean, I of course have my own mom, I still have, but I suddenly hit this place in myself that was so raw and so vulnerable. And I needed to know that that part of me existed. And then when I got off the phone with Sarah, I had a phone call with someone who I was in a very intense relationship with. And I broke down sobbing for the next hour and a half with him about our communication. So it was like my personal voice came through with him. And then what ended up happening in our relationship was that it was like a ripple effect. Then the next week he broke down sobbing. So that was my first time ever sobbing with him, or actually I realized with anybody in my whole life since maybe infancy. I don't tend to do that because I'm a very strong person, you know, quote unquote, but I did. And then the next week he broke down sobbing with me. And then it led into this, you know, the whole rest of our last few months has just been deeper and deeper and deeper ability to be raw and vulnerable with each other, which I don't know would have happened without this work with Sarah. So amazing. I mean, truly, truly amazing. And then the second way it's affected me in the longer term that I'm conscious of is that this seventh plane place that you talk about, I keep going there in my prayers. And, you know, it's complicated what you guys do, but essentially what feels so good to me about part of what you guys do in your technique is that you take people into the seventh plane, and then you have people unplug from, you know, people, places, things, and plug into that seventh plane, that what I experience as the light of the divine, like a bubble around you or around me. And you plug into that instead of plugging into other things or having other things plugging into you. And suddenly I feel, when I do that now on a pretty regular basis, even not working with you guys, it's just become part of my practice. And I just feel all this stuff draining out of my body. You know, it's like this new place that I can go to access this healing state. And that's such a gift. I mean, huge. So, yeah.
That's so beautiful. We tend to plug in. We tend to attach to people all the time. If we want something from them, or if they want something from us, we tend, you know, good or bad, you know, whatever it is. If we think somebody has some intelligence that we don't have, or if, let's just say, a worker and a boss situation, like the boss wants something from their employee, you know, they're going to plug into them. And I remember a few months ago, I had a client in, and I told him about taking him to the seventh plane and how he can detach from people, and how we energetically cord into people, thinking that we're going to get what we want from them. But we really don't. We don't get what we need, and it's draining. It's draining for everyone. And so instead of plugging into people or situations, you can plug into the divine, plug into the universe, plug into love, whatever the word is for you. But that is what we want. So you take those imaginary, you know, energetic cords, and you know, you pull them out of the people that you feel like you're plugged into, plug them into the light, and then you're fed by that light, which is really the ultimate. And then the same thing goes for the people who are in your life. So let's imagine that you feel like you're attached to people, like they plugged into you. You pull them out of you, plug them into the light, and then they get that same wisdom and grace. And so it's a win-win. Nobody loses, which is beautiful. And then, I was going to say something really good, and it just left me. How funny. Sarah, can you pick it up?
Sure. So there were a couple of things that I got excited about when I heard you two speaking. And one of them is containers. Right? I love containers. I think when we create a container, then we can, you know, when we intentionally create a container, then we can really have a powerful experience that is intentional, right? And the container holds the intention for that. And the other thing is resource. So as a child, as an adult, and I'm looking back at my childhood, one of the revelations that I had was that, whoa, I think the only thing that was wrong, right? I could come up with a lot of things, a lot of stories, but the main thing was that my family just didn't have enough resource. And because of that, there were choices that were made, and there was attention placed in certain places. And then this realization that when there's enough resource, anything is possible, right? We can heal, we can feel through, we can release, we can get whatever we need when there's enough resource. And the core repatterning technique is it's a beautiful way of setting up a container, the container being Martha, right? Like when we were working together, it's your body, your energetic body, your psychic body, right? So we take you to a place of great resource, and we set up a container where you're getting to clear any holes, any leakages, right? You get to clear them. You get to free up the psychic space. You get to come home, call yourself home, right? So you have who you are. We have this beautiful energetic container that doesn't have any holes in it because we've attuned, we've cleared up everything. So it's just you, right? And then just you inside of the space of inexhaustible resource. And that in itself creates an extreme amount of safety, right? The nervous system can relax. Even our levels of awareness are greater because of the clarity in the system, the clarity of the intention that's here. And then there's a third thing, I think, like the third magic thing. And as like a student of Lynn's, right, in the certification process, there are a lot of us that are like, how do you do it so fast, Lynn? We're like, I cleared 2 things in 1 hour, we're like, she's like, I zipped through 7 of them, or whatever, 10 of them. And there's something that she has that I've learned, and I think I've more recently picked up in my own nervous system and my own way of seeing, is that she's just holding that it's quick and easy. Right? So there's, like they say, right, in science now, when you matter changes according to who is perceiving it. Yeah. And so that perception in itself, right? Lynn is holding, she's held, right? She did everything she could to find this way of, she's like, I just want to free people right now. We don't have time to, wait through 10 years of therapy. We need to be activated, get this party started, right? And so just holding this is quick and easy, and it's done, right? Let's just get in there. Let's own it. You can say whatever you want, right? I think one of the beautiful things is those parts of us that are still holding, right? Those parts of us that are still contracted or hurting, or the frequency of the nervous system, right? That is like this. Oh gosh, that's funny. What was I gonna say? I was on a roll. There is, oh man. There's a pause and a breath. Maybe my nervous system did something. It's possible. Sometimes when I get too excited, that happens. I get ahead of myself. There's something about, if anybody has anything else, you can hop in. I'm still tracking it because I'm excited about it. I think it's important.
Well, what I can do, I can talk to the holding the intention. Because I think that's so awesome. And we, in the last training we had, we talked about that with the people who are in the certification program. And because, a lot of people will clear 1 or 2 things in an hour. And I'm like, why is it taking so long? It shouldn't take that long. And what is your intention? So if you believe that something is going to be really hard, if you believe that it's going to be difficult to clear something that someone has had, carried around with them for the last 30 years, then it will be. It will be. If you think that they won't be able to do it, then they won't. But if you hold the intention that this is quick, this is easy, they're on the 7th plane, they have resources that they've never been able to access before, and they have all the power they need, and that you are just going to hold the space so that it happens. Boom, bomb, bomb, bomb. And then it happens. It's so crazy. I've actually worked with people who have had very traumatic lives. I'm talking very traumatic. And I'm thinking of one woman right now. She had 40 different life events and limiting beliefs that she needed to clear. 40. And they were all like on a scale of 0 to 10, they were 8, 9, 10s. They were pretty big. She lived in dangerous areas growing up, and life just was not safe. It wasn't safe for her to be her. It wasn't safe for her to speak out. It wasn't safe for her to be seen. There was a lot of abuse. It was just really quite intense. And I held the intention for her that those 40 life events would be cleared in 4 sessions, 4 90-minute sessions. That's a big ask, right? That's a big ask, especially when we're used to different models where it might take years or a lifetime to clear the 40 events. And I'll tell you what, we got to the end and we cleared them all. And we actually even had time to go back through each and every one of those and test them to make sure they stayed at a 0. So now she was exceptional. I mean, to have 40 life events that were really very traumatic and to be able to clear them, she had to be in a space where she realized that she's safer without them than she was with them. And that's something that's super important, because so many of us feel like, well, our nervous system feels like, I don't want to ever forget that. I don't want to forget that because I don't want it to happen again. And I remember my mom is kind of like that. And if one person did her wrong, it's like, oh, that's never going to happen again. And I will never forget that, But the thing is when you're like that, that's what you're bringing towards you. That's the triggering energy. Like attracts like, number one. And so if you're like that, then you're going to attract other things that are kind of at that vibration, which you don't want. And you being like that, like all keyed up and angry and righteous, is actually going to trigger the people that you're with to behave in a way that will hurt you again. And then you're going to say to yourself, I'm never going to forget that one because they really hurt me and I didn't deserve it. But it's because it's coming from you. Like, so clearing all of this stuff is so vitally important so that you can just be you. When we are open-hearted, when we are excited about life, when we are connected with ourselves, connected with our heart, connected with others, then that's when the magic happens. That's when when the divine pours through us. That's when the miracles happen. It's not when we're afraid. It's not when we're guarded. When we're guarded, nothing happens. Nothing good happens. We have to be open and we have to be available and connected in order for the miracles to happen. And so what I love most about the core repatterning process is that it enables those miracles to happen. It enables the guard to go down. It enables you to keep your heart open so that more amazingness can come through you.
Yeah, thank you. And can I hop on that? So you reminded me, and this is kind of a nice transition too. So I wanted to speak to, the wonderful qualities of compassion and understanding, and how they can sometimes hold us back. And especially in this work, and like you were speaking about your mom, Lynn, right? And her just consciously saying, this is never going to happen again. Don't try to talk to me, whatever, and there are conscious ways we can do that. And then there's other ways where our like, even if we don't think we're doing that, our nervous system is doing that, right? And we can, like 80 to 90% of the way that we're moving in this world is subconscious. And there is a way, a survival, very intelligent survival mechanism, right? As a young child who has levels of awareness can choose to understand their parents' actions or why they're acting the way they are, or can choose to have compassion for these people around them that might not have awareness around their actions or the impact, right? And so you can navigate and you can kind of live in this space that might be impacting the nervous system and the emotional body and the psychic space in a negative way, but survive through compassion and understanding. But the truth is that there's really a lot of hurt that has happened in there, and it's never gotten to speak. And so one of the great permissioning aspects of this work is that for those of us who are used to navigating with compassion and understanding, I say, we're just going to put that out on the curb, right? And you can pick it up on your way out. And we actually want to hear what the painful parts have to say. And that was where I got stuck here last time, right? The nervous system, when it gets deregulated, it's like this, right? And a lot of times it happened that way over time or in one instant, and it wasn't able to process it. And so being able to speak from the place of hurt and pain with an incredible amount of resource, even with a witness, right, like me or Lynn, it can actually, I like to think of it as, like when you're having a hard day and you've just been trudging through the day and nobody's noticed to ask you, or you've just been kind of holding yourself and keeping it going. But there's some beautiful, it could be someone at the line at the grocery store. It could be a precious person that you have at home, but they look you in your eyes and they see you. And then there's something that happens when the release, you can release that holding, you can release the tension, and there's some kind of trusting, and then maybe space for self-expression. And that's what happens in our nervous system as well. So when that is met, right, when there's eyes and there's resource that can meet and can see that there's actually pain or dis-ease or discomfort, then it can actually discharge. But the beautiful thing, like Lynn said, right, she realized that you had to go into the body and that somatic experience. So you're tracking your body, you're staying in your body, and you're actually being honest, which is something that I think for those of us who have lived a long time and still have levels of trauma that we have not been able to do. And I think it's a wonderful, beautiful, and simple gift that really, it's real. It has a lasting impact, and people come back, right, like years later, months later, and they're like, it's like my life just totally changed. They're like, Sarah Cruse, you will not like believe it, right? Like, oh my gosh, my boyfriend said this thing, and I did that thing instead. I didn't even think about it. Or I called up my my manager, this person that I'm usually afraid of, and I didn't even think about being afraid, and I just handled my business and hung up the phone, and I was like, oh my God, that just happened, right? There's immediate changes in the perception of self and the perception of the world with the permissioning of those parts.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Very true. And last night I was working with somebody, and when she came in initially, she was super quiet. Her boss sent her to go through the Yes You Can Speak program because he really wanted her to speak up, and she was just like really quiet. And she told me last night that just that day, so yesterday, she was in a meeting, and it was with her boss's boss, and there were 20 people in the meeting, and there were 4 sections of the meeting, and the boss's boss would talk, and then after he did his intro for whatever that section was, then he opened it up to Q&A, and then just for a very short time, and then he would go into another section, open it up to Q&A. And she said, Lynn, you're not going to believe what happened. I said, what? And she said, for every single Q&A, I was the first one to ask a question.
Nice.
4 times, not just once, but 4 times. And she says, I feel amazing. I feel like I'm a contribution. I feel like I have a voice. People are listening to me. Even though he's 2 levels above me, it didn't matter. I knew that I had something valuable to say. And so this core repatterning has completely changed my life. And she's now able to speak in front of groups. And before, she was the one that held back. She's very introverted, very shy, very much, she's an engineer and very much in her head and looking for what she was doing wrong instead of what she was doing right. And speaking up or speaking to a group was just, it was a -10. It was a -10 on that scale of 0 to 10. And now she's like, oh, I'm giving presentations. I'm going to be speaking at a conference. I'm good. I'm good. It's completely life-changing. And what's so cool is that, you know, for people who want to go through, like, for people who want to get on stage and be able to speak or just feel super comfortable, in a board of directors meeting or just speaking to executives or, you know, large groups at a company, all hands meetings, for example, 4 days of training, 4 days of group classes and 4 core repatterning sessions, and boom, you're off to the races. It's just like you're a different person. And what we do is we like literally repattern the nervous system. We repattern it so that you actually know that you deserve to be seen and heard and fully expressed because you have something valuable to share instead of doubting. You know, every time we doubt ourselves, and so many of us are like this, where we'll start with an idea. Like, we've got this idea that we want to contribute, and then we get halfway through the idea, or we might just get 1 or 2 sentences out, and then all of a sudden that doubt comes in. Whenever the doubt comes in, that flow state that you were in when you started talking about your idea is now cut off. It's like a faucet. It's like the faucet's on full blast and you're flowing, or it's off. So anytime that any of us are doubting themselves, when we doubt ourselves, the flow is off. So the key is to clear the nervous system so that doesn't automatically happen, and then stay in a state of gratitude and contribution and knowing that you're worthy. Like, it starts with you. You know, they say that the most important words we hear are the words we say to ourselves.
Yes.
And when we've had a lot of trauma, when we've had a lot of, oh my gosh, I just want to hide. I'm super shy. I'm super introverted. I've done so many things wrong. I can't bear having somebody tell me I did one more thing wrong. Then there's this setup in our nervous system and in our brain where we're just looking for the bad. That's just what we're going towards because we're so used to it, and we don't want it to happen again. We don't want to be judged again. We don't want to be criticized again. We don't want to be wrong again. But our brain thinks that we need to focus on that so it won't happen. But it's actually the opposite. So clearing the trauma and then repatterning how you see yourself is completely life-changing. And then that seed of you know, pure potential that you were born with actually can be expressed and shine forth. And then, you know, when you're doing that, it's like you're leaving a legacy and you're living the life you're meant to live. And you're not going to get to the end of your life and go, oh, I wish I would have.
I have 3 things that have been coming up for me around all this that you're saying. Number 1, again, I'm highly trained in treating trauma. I got my MSW from Smith College in 2001, and the one and only specialty, the main specialty of Smith is trauma and attachment treatment. And so I know a lot of techniques, and I've done a lot of work around trauma with people. And, I personally, many years ago, experienced EMDR, which is sort of similar to what you do, but not at the same time. And, there's just so many techniques out there to handle trauma, but they all take so much time. And so I just wanted to highlight that really, that I wouldn't be interviewing you if I didn't believe that you have something so unique, because there are 10,000 bazillion techniques out there for dealing with trauma, and some of them are very good, but this one it's so pure. Like it gets again to the essence, and I never experienced anything like it. So, and I'm talking about, I'm highly trained in psychotherapeutic techniques and bodywork techniques and somatic techniques, right? So, I know what I'm talking about, but this is something else. And it touches on a lot of those other techniques that I'm familiar with, but there's some purity in the way that you do it that I've just never come across before. So I wanted to highlight that. Also, it feels very connected to, as I've said to you guys, to some of the things that I've been channeling, in particular in my third book called Cosmos Speaks. And one of the things that comes through in what I channel is similar to what you're talking about the instantaneous changes. So for example, in Cosmos Speaks, and I have some free videos on my YouTube channel also that mirror these same meditations. The Cosmos Speaks book has these meditations, for example, one that takes people to a world without fear, which feels similar to me to your seventh plane place. And then also there's a meditation that I often get shown, where I talked to Sarah about this one, where you go up into the cosmos and you find a place between two stars. So you're essentially, like, what the spirits show me is that you're suspended like in a hammock in the magnetic field between two stars. And in that place, that is what the spirits say to me is that's the ultimate state of healing, because stars are perfect, right? There's no such thing as non-perfection in the cosmos. And so the balance and that middle point between them is the point of perfect. Yeah, Sarah, you're getting excited. Yeah, and I know I want to hear your part, because it really relates to a lot of the stuff you do too. But so what they show me is that when you are able to access this place in the cosmos and just rest in that hammock of perfection state of being, then yeah, instantaneous things happen. I mean, we are ultimately actually made from the state of perfection and the state of balance, like perfect balance. Mm-hmm. So why not access that, right? But yeah, Sarah, say what you wanted. What are you getting excited about there?
I get so excited about like frequency intervals. Not as a musician, I have a little bit of knowledge there, but as in relationship to sound healing. And sound mm-hmm. is my entry point into all of this world. And sound is pattern, right? Sound is a wave that just continues to do its thing, right, for eternity, unless something else comes and relates with it, and then that relationship shifts the patterns, right? And then maybe something new is related. And so I wish I had them. Shoot, I work with tuning forks. Maybe a lot of you that are watching are very familiar with tuning forks, and they're like this. They serve the same thing as the stars do. Mm-hmm. And the healing is not in one tuning fork or the other tuning fork. It's in the relationship of the two tuning forks. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in this work, you know, we're talking about trauma, it was created inside of relationship. And so really finding points of safety where we can entrain a new feeling inside of relationship. Like, you know, we have, and maybe even speaking, I haven't really thought this too much in depth, but I'm just getting this idea, like, you know, we travel to the seventh plane, but we also have the ground that is here, right? Mm. And that we have this safety, like we usually end the meditations with, you know, grounding into the earth, right? And we have this beautiful light coming in through the crown of our head. And when we have these 2 points, right, north and south nodes, that are they're pure. There's a purity about the intention that Lynn has created, right? That when we allow ourselves to rest in that relationship, right? And then there's a third party, perhaps me, perhaps Lynn, that's like holding this other kind of relational aspect, this horizontal, right? Then we don't have to really do anything. We just get to sit and hang out and talk about what's arising, talk about what's true. And that's the natural energy repatterning itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get inside. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And one other thing that was coming through for me about our voice and the reason why it's so important is also related to something I channeled recently. I have 3 books that have come out in this book series called the Living the One Light series. But then I also in December channeled a 2020 journal, and it's very related to the astrology of 2020. And the first 30 pages are a channeled message about the year of 2020. And the main sort of highlight of that channeled message is that, you know, this is an incredibly transformative time and really crucial time, and that we've come to the planet because we are love and we have love for this place, and that each of us has this divine puzzle piece that can only come through each of us, right? So it feels to me like essentially what you guys are doing is you're clearing the body of anything and everything that is not that divine puzzle piece that needs, like, is crucial. It's not a desire, it's a need for the planet. That is why we came, and it is why we're here in this moment. And we each need, I need Lynn's puzzle piece, and I need Sarah's puzzle piece, and you guys need my puzzle piece. We all need each other's. We are here because we are each needed. It's actually a detriment to the planet for us not to clear ourselves to bring through whatever that piece is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's, you know, it's because of all the pain that we as humans have experienced. I mean, there's not one human that can get through life without a serious amount of pain and judgment and limiting beliefs. But it's that is creating so much havoc in the world. And if those people that, you know, those people who are really thorny, you know, those people who are more prickly, those people who are really quick to judge, those people who don't necessarily give others the benefit of the doubt, those are sometimes the ones that will do things that will hurt others, right? But and those are the people who are the most hurt. Those are the ones who have gone through the most trauma. And, you know, I think about people that I've worked with that, you know, there are some people that are just really open and warm and easy to be with. And then there are others that are just guarded and, you know, like thorny. Like, you know, you think of a rose, thorns on a rose, and it's like, don't ask me, I'm not doing that. I'm not opening up. I don't trust. Those people are the ones that have had so much pain. Mm. It's not that they're bad people. It's that they're really sensitive. It's that they've been really hurt and they are just trying to survive. And those are the ones that need it the most. and they might be the most scared, you know, to do this deep kind of work. But if everyone could do this kind of work where they're actually clearing that pain that they've spent their whole life swimming in, because basically we're just swimming in the pain and the trauma day in and day out until we clear it. And because of that, people misperceive us. People think things of us that really aren't necessarily true, but it's what we project out because we're swimming in this pain. But if we could all let go of that, then this whole world would be a different universe. It just would, where people are getting along, where people are compassionate, where people see each other and give each other the benefit of the doubt, and they actually care for each other. So, boy, yeah, I would just love, you know, my goal is to, you know, have 100 Sarahs in the world doing this work, because it is so fast, it's so safe, it's so simple, and it's so pure.
Yeah.
And it really, really works. Yeah. And so, you know, for anyone who is curious about it, we work with people all over the world, and we do it over Zoom, and it works just like we're sitting in your living room, and we would just love to talk with you if you're curious about it in any way.
Yeah, Sarah worked with me on the phone.
Yeah, we
We're in
just
2 different.
we didn't even see each other. Yeah,
Mhm.
we can do miracles in all kinds of ways. And I wanted to kind of respond to something that you said, Lynn, and maybe share a little bit about what our experience was, Martha, in the, like, you know, those of us that walk around with really high charges, right, that have had lots of pain, and perhaps that, you know, the charge is always going to be kind of a lens over our eyes, right? We're going to be perceiving the world through that charge. The coolest thing can happen, like the most wonderful, most beautiful thing. And it's just kind of like that diamond, right? That gets extreme, that just has been living under extreme pressure for like eons, right? And it doesn't even know of itself until one day, right? It's the falls off and it's a diamond. But like, Martha, I think, if you don't mind me sharing, I think there was some high charge that you had, and when we were done, you were like, it's a +10. You're like, good feeling right here. How did that thing that was like a horrible, the most difficult thing, right, to be with, to feel in my body, to walk in the world with, now it feels like a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from that place, I get to really, so that pain that I went through was actually my gift, right? And I was able to metabolize the gift of this world so that I can therefore pass it on. And that's like one of my personal high intentions in this work, is that we get to, like, people get to walk away with that level of activation, that they get to shine and offer into the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and they say that, you know, when you overcome your biggest challenge in life, it gives you the biggest joy to serve others so that they don't have to suffer the way you did.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's a beautiful thing to overcome, and then be that living, breathing gift to the world of others who have undergone something similar to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would you each like to give a sense of your vision for your work individually, your work for this core repatterning? Anything you want to say about your ultimate, you both touched on it a little bit, but anything else you want to say specifically about your vision for yourselves and the world?
Wow. First, I just want to say thank you for validating it the way you did. it brought tears to my eyes, Martha, when you were talking about all the training that you've had and all the experience and how you see this work is so powerful. That really,
Yeah.
it touches my heart in a really, really big way. And I know that this work is way beyond me. It's not me. It's something that came through, and I feel very honored to be stewarding it into the world, and to have your validation just means a lot, a lot. And my vision for it is to have 100 Sarahs in the world helping other people. And the other part of my vision is to have a certification program for everyday people, because this isn't something that takes years and years to learn. And it's something that Sarah and I will be bringing forth later this year, and that is to certify just regular old people who want to help themselves, help their friends, help their families. And if we could have hundreds of people around the world doing that for themselves and for their families and for their friends, this world will be a very different place.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
agree.
yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah, I do want to also acknowledge it. Just it always feels so good to be validated, because then I'm like more real. It's like more real. And I deal a lot of my life, I think even as a young child, was with more the subtle realms, subtle energetic realms that aren't always witnessed or validated. And so it just feels good to be in this conversation, right, with someone who has like MFT and like these like really grounded kind of certifications, just acknowledged ways of being in the world and being perceived through that lens and being acknowledged feels really good. Yeah, and in speaking to like my, I guess, desire with this work, my own personal stuff, I'd like to start with just speaking quickly to how I met Lynn. And it was maybe like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I don't know. It was some time ago. And I had a big part of my life has been coming into my own relationship with creativity and feeling so good about it that I want to support others. And I had been supporting some friends in creating their own one-woman show. And I opened for my friend, and I just did this little 20-minute thing, and Lynn came up and gave her card, and I think I totally forgot, right? Like this lovely lady gave me her card, and I was like moving, I totally forgot about it. And then several years later, maybe 3 years later, 2 years later, I find her at a party, and she's like, I remember you, and there's something about like quite literally, I dropped out of graduate school to find my voice. And
Wow.
to be perceived by Lynn, right? Girl, you got it, right? You got your voice, it's activated. I would love for you to come and, work with me, is kind of just like the full circle coming around. And I felt like I had waited a long time to get that, that response from the universe. But like my ultimate intention is to help people. Like I've found my own way through and releasing these parts that hold us back, right? This trauma that's kept our nervous system in a locked or frozen, repetitive looping place, and support other people in self-expression. I have a band and I do performance art, and there's so much power in subtle energetics, in the power of emoting, right? We can emote and we can transmit so much information. And when we are aware and attuned and intentional, we can really create amazing things, and we can inform nervous systems. We can help, our personal communities to grow. And so that I feel like in the ultimate, I want to help people clear their nervous systems and then create awesome, fun, kind of performance, musical, expressions where we can support people like in, you know, large spaces to have an experience where they leave transformed and perhaps they've worked and moved through some stuff as well. Yeah, that's my favorite thing.
So beautiful. So any other last things? And also, where can people find you, each of you?
Yeah, so they can go to, excuse me, yesyoucanspeaknow.com, yesyoucanspeaknow.com, or Lynn at yesyoucanspeaknow.com. Yeah, feel free to send me a message. I'd be happy to jump on a call with any of you.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Martha, thank you so much for having us. Thank you for this beautiful interview and just sharing your spirit with us and your heart and your greatness. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Sarah, what about you? What's the best place for people to find you?
Yes, thank you. So my band's name is Yaya's Kitchen, and yayas.kitchen, yays.kitchen is our website. And then I also have posturesofgrace.com is my personal healing, healing website.
Beautiful. And I'll post both of your websites in the footnotes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you
you
so much, Martha. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you for both for totally transforming my life.
Oh.
It's been an honor, a true honor. Thank you, Martha.
And for all the work that you do, girl. It's like,
Oh, you too.
Yeah, keep it going.
Keep it going.
Keep being the prolific writer that you are. Wow, you're my idol.
Well, we're all doing it all together. We're all in this together. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Lynn. Thank you.
Have a beautiful day.
Okay.